All right, guys, back with a Bite Me Short from the Inner Sanctum, as I've been calling it. I'm not exactly sure why. John Lopez here. I'm with Captain Caleb McCumber. Clearly, big time competitive fisherman, professional, and big time trout guy. And so when it comes to trout and big trout, everybody wants to know what it takes to catch those big trout. And the conversation inevitably comes back down to Corkies. Let's do a little soup to nuts, as they say. Everything you need to know about Corkies. Obviously, they've been around, I think, since the 70s. And we got the right guy to talk about that with here. All right, Caleb.
Yeah, let's see.
I'm looking at all of these right here. By the way, that's Captain
Hey,
Caleb.
what's up? Yeah, let's see how efficiently I can get through this stuff.
But you look at these things, and this, well, you explain it. You know it better than I, where the originals came from, what the differences are here. Well, let's start with the cork itself first.
So, Corkys. These came out of a fellow's garage named Paul Brown in Houston. Up here on my wall, I've actually got a collection of, there's a lot of one of ones, one of threes up there that I got from Paul himself. These things, to folks that are looking up the how-to videos, dude, I feel you. I feel you. I went and I got excited just like everybody that's ever thrown Corkies has been. They got pumped up about it. They saw some big fish caught on them, and they drove to Paul's house as we did back in the day and bought a bunch. Or now you go to Academy or English Anonymous or whatever, and you get them all and you get out there on the water. You're like, heck yeah!
Now what?
Now what? And I remember I had this flat full of them, and this is back when I think they were like $5 a piece, $4 or $5 a piece. I had a flat full of them, and I was so mad at these things. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna give all these away. And the fella that I owe pretty much everything for that helped my learning curve on trout, and especially helped my learning curve with Corky. As soon as I said, he's like, I'll buy them. And I thought it was like, self, if he wants them that bad,
yeah, exactly.
there must be something to it. And so over the years, he taught me how to work them, and then I kind of made it my own. And but every one of us started out exactly where the guy that goes to YouTube and says, what do I do with one of these? I've heard everything in the world. I've tried everything in the world. We were sitting out in the water fishing one day, and my buddy said, I think you're supposed to work your rod tip in circles. And I kid you not, dude, we're out there like whooping them in circles. It just,
and it probably caught some fish.
No, we didn't catch anything. That's the problem. Nothing. I always say there's no way to work them wrong, but I found it.
Yeah.
But yeah, real quick, this is the Fat Boy.
That's one of the originals.
This is the Fat Boy floater.
Mm-hmm.
That fin right there tells you. Also, it's got a bigger cork and no rattle in it. This has a smaller cork with a rattle in it. This is the Devil. This is a Soft Dine XL. This is honestly probably one of my go-tos aside from this. These two right here, I have a hard time choosing which one it's going to be today.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Soft Dine. In the spring or something, it's good. If I'm being honest, I would rather throw a Mirrodine or something with a hard body because I think it gets the same job done and doesn't tear up where this one will. I don't think I even own one of these besides this one. I don't even know where this one came from. A customer might have left it in the boat. And then this is the broken back that you see all about. Mirror Lure doesn't make it. It's made by, well, last I looked, it's made by Paul's son. This guy right here works a little bit differently than all of them. This one right here, let's just start on how he work them, and I'll knock him out real quick. This guy right here, my favorite thing to do really is just kind of a lazy twitch and a straight retrieve pull. A little lazy twitch. I like it whenever I want it to sit on bottom and I'm just going to kind of pull it along.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the only time I deploy this lure.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get as creative with it as I can with these. The body doesn't shape quite as well. I mean, you can kind of mess with the nose a little bit. But if you're just wanting a lazy movement, this is what I'll go with.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it stays in the
winter.
boat. Oh, absolutely. This is Pat and I fished the Legends in, I think, 2017, and the air temperature was 27 degrees on average for a week. The morning of the tournament, I think the water temperature is either 42 or 47. I can't remember. And Pat and I went out, and I can honestly say that of the top 6 teams, we were the only team that actually fished bay water and didn't go to deep water, which we were dumb because if I since I said top 6, we won 6th, right? The top 5 all went to deep water and kicked our butts. But we were able to catch very solid trout in very cold water when they really shouldn't have been eating, dragging these things on the bottom.
All right.
This guy right here, this is the Soft Dine XL. This thing is pretty well idiot proof, and I say this because I'm an idiot.
We're all
and
idiots.
It's proof of me. The only thing you really have to worry about is just making sure that it stays straight this way and straight this way. That's the only thing. If you get a tiny bend in it, just like that, just that, it's not going to work right.
It won't do any action.
It's not gonna do what it's supposed to. If you can keep it dead straight, which these things are famous for getting hit in the head, and they get a little, and you can't get that sucker out.
No.
But they work well enough that I'll go back to the boat and get another one of these $8 boogers out and go to throwing it again. This guy right here, you walk the dog with him, you let him pause, you let him sink, you walk the dog with him. He's very simple. The action that you work it is similar to a fat boy, yet you don't have to worry about how am I bending the nose, how am I bending the tail. This thing just does its work.
Throw it as is.
And another thing that you can just slow reel them. They're still gonna do this through the water on a slow retrieve. Awesome bait, lethal bait. There's all kinds of great colors in it. I think this one is oh shoot! If Pat was here, he'd be able to tell us the number. I don't do names very well, but it's a silverback and purple size. As soon as we get done recording this, I'll remember it. 700 people are going to comment on here and be like, "It's this color, you idiot!" But this is one of the custom Corky colors. I think this is one of Marsh's colors, Robbie Marsh. This guy, he is an absolute wild card. This is the devil. This is actually, I believe, a super devil. The devil's a little bit smaller, but this guy, I'll throw him over grass and kind of work him and pop him, and he kind of does like a plastic, but he's a little bit more erratic and wild.
Yeah.
If I want to get real wacky with him out of the boat or something, I'll put a finishing nail right here, or I'll put a weight right here on the hook where it dives a little bit quicker. But he's just an erratic, wild little swimmer. You can do cool stuff with it. Me personally, I don't dabble with this one a whole lot, but I know people that do, and they're successful with them. And on to Pandora's box, right? Fat Boy. A million different ways you can do it. One, they come straight out of the box, looking a lot like that.
Yeah.
He works like that. He does fine like that. He doesn't really dive like that. He doesn't really come up like that. He's just a nice neutral shape. You throw him out there, you let him sink, and you work him. Where I don't like it, if I'm trying to fish the upper that much of the water column, I'm completely good with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to let it sink very much. I'm just going to work it, stop it, let it fall, work it, stop it, let it fall. But if I'm wanting to fish 2 foot deep, 3 foot deep, and I'm throwing him like this, I'll let him sink, and as I work him, he's kind of working his way back up. So the reason I always say that I like to bend the nose, and I bend the nose pretty aggressively, and I like to bend the tail, which isn't as aggressively as you would think, about like that. Now, when it's working, every time I work on it, it's making it dig down in the water. So I can keep it lower in the water column. As I work it isn't coming up. I really like to focus a certain depth whenever I'm throwing these guys. Another one that I've seen done, if you really, really want them to stay up, you can kind of just give his tail one of those, and now he's working up. So he sinks and then he works back up. Very versatile lure. This is the floater. It's the same idea. Obviously, you're not worried as much about digging him down. I'll leave these a little bit more straight. Pat loves these things. Absolutely loves them. I've had situations where I really like them. 9 times out of 10, I'm throwing a sinker, though. It's where my confidence is. Confidence catches fish. It's that simple. But Pat probably throws these way more than he throws these. What color do you want? If I had one Corky.
That's mine right there.
If I had one Corky, dark, clear skies, dirty water, clean water, green water, don't care. This is my guy. And this is cheap. I say cheap. This is the cheap ones. This is the one from Mirror. You can go buy them at Academy. They're not hard to find. That's my dude. That's my color.
Yeah.
Now, do I own a bunch of other colors? Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Obviously.
And there's a whole other basket full.
I like the solid pearls or whatever. But if I'm sitting there and I just can't make up my mind, or I just want something that I'm pretty sure is going to catch fish, it's going to be this or the Texas chicken, which is this color with pink on the belly.
A little more pink, yeah.
That's my go-to, man. But yeah, that's Corky's pretty quick and in a jiffy. I don't know if we were quick and in a jiffy.
No, we're good. I have a couple more questions for you here that I know our listeners and viewers are going to want to see. You talked about tuning these different ways, and you explained that. But when you're working a Corky, one thing that I know, you said it's almost idiot proof, but you also can get deeper. Like you can really let it sink. And for me, Corky's for me, or if I'm in deeper water,
Right.
I want to find the strike zone.
Yeah. So and there's a couple of different ways to do it. My preferred method for getting them down quicker and keeping them down is I will get little small stainless steel washers. I'll take the hooks off, and then whenever I get the hook back, I'll put the washer in between the hook and the split ring.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. That way I can put the exact amount of weight in both spots, and so I'm not doing this with it.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest reason I don't like floaters is it seems like only 1 in 10 don't sink like this. You'll work them, and then they do that. Can't stand that. Yeah, I'd rather have like a double D or something that I can control.
Yeah.
So I try to keep the weight really balanced. I'll still work the nose and the tail. There's people that'll use a finishing nail here. I just like the idea of having the same amount of weight in both spots, so I'm not messing with that. You can fish them on a boat, and you can fish them deep. People on the East Coast fish them deep all the time.
Yeah.
It's the other way. I mean, to figure out how it takes to get down, if you're not adding all the weight to it, you throw it out there, and I'll just I'll count all the way, and I'm kind of just like giving a slight pull the whole time. It's coming down, not enough to alter it, just kind of feeling it. And once I feel it on bottom, then I know, okay, it's a 6-second count. Because you get down to Baffin or somewhere where the water's saltier,
Yeah.
and they're going to sink way slower. In fact, this guy right here, whenever I got down to Baffin, I couldn't make it sink at all.
Yeah.
It would almost sit on top. Now, that was 2017 when we were using these down there, and we were in a drought, so the water was extra salty. I called Steve Brown, the guy that was making them. I was like, hey, and he's the one that gave me the washer idea. I was like, hey, dude, so it's a top water now. We need to fix this. But yeah, the counting it down and just seeing where it's at. Then if it takes 6 seconds for it to get 5 feet deep, then you just got to do.
It's generally a foot a second is what I have always been told.
Well, it just depends on what water you're in, though.
That's true. I'm saying just generally speaking.
Give or take, a foot a second, foot every.
And you'll feel the bottom eventually.
You'll feel the bottom, but we say it's idiot proof, but then you gotta do math. Like if I want to be halfway,
Yeah, and the last thing, speaking of idiots, I figured this out a few years ago. If you just have them out in your box, and you say, well, is that a Corky or is that a sinker or non-sinker? The non-sinkers always have either a lateral line or some paint on the side.
The non-sinkers have nothing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're right, yes. The floaters.
The floaters.
Let's call them floaters, John.
The floaters.
Mess me up.
The floaters have something on the side like that, or a lateral line or something.
And color doesn't matter. I've never seen one with a lateral line, but color doesn't matter on the gill because sometimes there's different people that are painting them. So sometimes they're black, sometimes they're blue, sometimes they're red. That is not a color coded thing. Yeah. Again, idiot proof. If it's got a gill, it's a sinker. I mean, it's a floater.
It's a floater, yeah.
And but again, just pick it up and shake it. If it doesn't rattle, it's a floater.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
You want some trivia on Corkys that I found out?
Let's tell me. What's some trivia?
Nowhere in any of the packaging ever, even now, has the word Corky ever been printed.
You're right. You're right.
They've been called Corkys for 40 years.
Yeah.
Never has it been called a Corky by the people who make them.
No, the only thing in common is they're all called Paul Brown something.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you mention it, you're right.
A little trivia there for you.
I wonder, man, I'm trying to remember if I ever heard Paul call him a Corky. What got me in trouble with Corkys is Kevin Cochran and I used to fish together a bit, and I sent him a sentence about multiple Corkys. Yeah. And I put IES at the end of it.
And that is?
To me, I mean, it's multiple Corkys. And Kevin, as yourself, is a bit of a writer and a publisher. Yeah. Is like, no, this is the name of something. Like, yes, sir. So.
All right, people. That's about as good as you can get on a short 15-minute video with one of the best to do it, and that's Capt and Caleb. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bite Me podcast. We're going to have some more with Capt and Caleb at a future date.